Hey everyone, welcome to this VOD review of the G2 versus Fnatic game from last night. Um, I haven't done one of these in a while, and I've kind of wanted to do it because I need to get back in the swing of things, actually doing stuff like this. Uh, and I thought, why not start with the G2 versus Fnatic game? So basically, G2 versus Fnatic, they are the top of the LEC. They both need to win. And we're going to be checking them out, going through this game in 1.5 speed. So first up, I think it's necessary to say that obviously G2, they are known as a team that can play a bit of everything. They are very aggressive very often. Um, and they often need to have a lead going into the mid game. If they don't have that and they aren't in control of the early game, then they very often fall. And we saw that at MSI, where they got punished by, I believe, uh, the Buffaloes um, and SK Telecom. But one of their strengths is that they can always flex around their champions. Like I don't know if any of you have seen the LEC, but we've seen Mickey X play Pike. We've seen Perks, Caps. I think even we've seen Yankos and Wonder. I think everyone has played Pike on that team. You can always see Nico going to the mid lane, even to the top lane or down to the bottom side. So they can flex around all of these champions. And I think we've even seen an Akali in the bottom side as well. Whereas for Fnatic, they kind of play more of an old school play style, really. They tend to focus on having a strong mid and jungle duo. And then they rely a lot on having Reckless and Hylissang in a position to carry the game, so and so. So that's always kind of how like Fnatic they try to maneuver as a team. But here in this game, let's see what's gonna happen. I've seen this game before, and I know what's gonna happen, but I kind of want to check why it happens. Why do Fnatic go for different things? Why do they try and force fights upon G2? And then we need to figure out why ultimately they win the game. So looking here at the champions being banned away, basically you have Aatrox, Rakan, and Sivir, and that's like the main three champions that Fnatic they want. Hylissang always plays Rakan. You have Aatrox for Bippo, and he always wants to play the Aatrox if he can get his hands on that. It's historically been his best performing champion. And then Sivir is Reckless's go-to champion right now, the one that he will always play if he can get his hands on it. For Fnatic, I like that they ban away the Sona, because it makes a lot of sense to take her away when right now you can pair her up with Rakan, with Taric, with Nico, Lux, Pike, Tom Kench. Basically, you can pair up with a bunch of different supports to just make the laning phase obnoxious. Yankos can always pull out the Sejuani, and Yasuo is one of those big flex picks for G2 that you don't want to give over to them. But now it's important to realize that for Fnatic, they've left open Yuumi, Sylas, and Pike. Sylas as a champion is something that you should always be able to play as a team, and that G2 they have shown that they can play, both in the mid lane and I believe in the bottom side and top lane as well. Yuumi, ever since she came out, a lot of people have been trying to figure out how to most efficiently play her, and I don't think we've seen the best player come out quite yet and perform here on Yuumi. But she is nevertheless a strong champion that you want to try and pick up, especially because she's like one of the healthiest champions that you can get for the laning phase, simply because she like has an extra health bar because she can disappear when you throw stuff at her. And then Pyke is like again just a gigantic flex pick that the two teams they love to get. For Fnatic, it's more or less just Hylissang picking up Pyke. And for G2, it's like Perks, Caps, Mickey X, more or less everyone. And now right here, they lock in Yuumi. So Fnatic, they have a choice. Do they go for more of a standard idea of what a composition should be? Do they go for the Kai'Sa down in the bottom side alongside, let's say, a Pyke or a Brawl? Do they go for a jungler alongside Lee Sin or Gragas? Or do they, as would probably be the smartest idea, because we've seen this from MSI, pick up something that can go toe-to-toe with G2 in the early game and have that lead and maintain that lead in the mid game? So like for Fnatic, they need something aggressive, so I don't know, go for the Pyke would make a lot of sense. You can have a Pyke and Karma bottom lane, which is what they ultimately go for, which makes a lot of sense. So like for them right now, it's just all about picking up champions that can be aggressive in the early game. And obviously Karma, we are on patch 9.12, so she has been buffed and she is much stronger. And I just love the idea from Fnatic that they picked the Karma and the Pyke. Because if you have the Karma and the Pyke, you have flexibility. You don't show your enemies where they're going. Yes, they might know that it's going down to the bottom side because, as they mentioned during the stream, Reckless has been playing that Karma on stream. But they still don't know where it certainly will be going, because it can still go up to the top side for Bippo, that Karma. Or the Pyke can go into the mid lane for Nemesis. So it's just like, there's a lot of different mind games right now being utilized by Fnatic. And I just love that idea that they're trying to come in and play the whole G2 game. And unfortunately for G2, they are forced onto a more passive pick down in the bottom side. Usually you want to go for something more aggressive. Usually G2, they love to go for something more aggressive down in the bottom side. Think of the likes of an Akali down the bottom side, or a Swain down at the bottom side. Basically anything that can give you kill pressure. Hell, even a Vayne or a Kai'Sa will give you more kill pressure than Ezreal. But because you probably know that you're going to go up against the Karma and the Pyke down in the bottom side, which will be poking you a lot and will be having a lot of kill pressure, going for something safe like the Ezreal makes a whole lot of sense. But it's just going to mean that you're going to be very passive for a long time in the laning phase, which ultimately means that you're not going to be in a real position to do anything throughout the early game, which has been the downfall of G2 as we've seen in the past. And then Caps picking up the Akali is basically just one of his safe picks, which is necessary for G2 to pick up right now, or else it will be banned away. Plus, you want to have something that can be aggressive, and once level 6 comes around, Caps is in a position to go aggressive. Twisted Fate being picked up by Fnatic. Right now we're seeing a lot of AD Twisted Fate. He's a good split pusher at that point. You get a mid-game power spike with the Twisted Fate when you go for the Trinity Force, which is what Fnatic they really want right now. Mid-game power spikes, mid-game strength. Plus you get the better engage with Rapid Fire Cannon for your gold cards. Plus you have a split pusher now to work with if you get into that mid-game and maintain a lead. And then you have that split pusher to help you rather maintain that lead. Two junglers being banned away from Fnatic, I think that's probably the smartest idea that they can go for right now. Because you want to limit the amount of power that Jankness can have in the early game. If you take away the Jarvan and the Rex side and you start to shorten down his his champion pool, and then he kind of gets left with the likes of a Rengar, of a Kha'Zix. What else do you have? A Gragas if you want to have more playmaking power. Olaf, which is ultimately what you're left with. Those picks that don't bring as much hard crowd control to the table as you want in the early game, and damage in the early game as well. So like, it's just for Fnatic, if they can limit Jankos, then you start to have a much better idea about how you can deal with this game. And I think honestly, with Olaf still being left open, Elise also being a possibility, that Olaf is a much safer and smarter choice for Fnatic. Because right now you have a strong bottom side. They already have crowd control. You have crowd control in the mid lane. And you have damage from the 2 lanes. But you don't have tankiness. And that's really what you need right now. You need more tankiness. Gragas isn't inherently the strongest tank that you can get. Especially not if you go for an AP Gragas. But what he brings to the table is crowd control and tankiness. And he allows for your laners to play stronger. Sorry, to play more aggressively if he comes in for ganks, which will allow them to go more ham. I also like the idea about the Olaf then from G2, because if you can have somewhat of a say in this game as Jankos, then you want to have that. And Olaf really going down the tier list is next best pick, just so you have a Bruiser-ish guy who can get out of the lanes around level 6 and around the time that he gets his own ultimate. Hell, even when he gets his boots, he's going to be in a much more interesting position to really try and get out on the laning phase. For Fnatic, they kind of realized that, well, Irelia is going to be the only champion left that can go up in the top side. So picking something that can go toe-to-toe with her, and still have that mid-game strength that Fnatic are looking for, the answer will then be Renekton. That's really the only thing you can go with. Well, you could also go, obviously there's other picks you would go for. Let's say a Yorick is something you'd go for, but overall, when you look at the entire team composition from Fnatic, it's a lot about having crowd control and damage in every single lane, and then allowing for Broxah to get out to those lanes, and for him to make his impact known, which is essentially what we're going to be seeing here. You have Renekton up in the top side versus Irelia. That's going to be a brawler lane. He has crowd control and damage. You have Twisted Fate, crowd control and damage. Down here, that's a bunch of crowd control and damage. Against the Ezreal and Yuumi, they're going to have a hard time. The Ezreal and the Yuumi, that is. Akali, not going to have a fun time either against Twisted Fate. Which is why we're ultimately going to see Caps try and... he's going to try and swap. Or he is going to swap his lane, rather. So he can get out of that Twisted Fate lane. Because he's going to get bullied very hard pre-level 6. And it's going to be less easy for Twisted Fate to keep Irelia down pre-level 6. So you're going to see that swap. But nonetheless, it's a lot of good drafting for Fnatic to try and counter those lanes throughout the game. And as we jump forward to get into the game, we can talk a bit more about every lane as it gets on. So let's basically, if we start from the top, Renekton versus Irelia is, I would personally say it's a bit of a skill matchup. Maybe with a slight edge over to Renekton, because he has a bit more healing, and especially his ult, I think, is more valuable in the matchup than Irelia's ult, because you get more damage over time, you get a bit more tankiness, and I don't really see how you're going to be in a position as Renekton, or should be in a position as a Renekton, to move through Irelia's ult. You should not be doing that at all, and I don't see a position where you're going to be in that position. But then when you swap it around, Renekton versus Akali, which is ultimately going to be what we're seeing, suddenly Akali has a much easier time against Renekton. Her Q will help her poke a bit. She's not going to have any kill pressure really on that Renekton, especially since she has a teleport. But it is more even in that matchup overall. And Irelia versus Twisted Fate is basically like an Irelia versus Orianna. You have a mage on one hand who can really poke and lock you down. But if they overstep their boundaries, you're going to have the best opportunity in the world to punish them as an Irelia, who can then come in and do that punishing by utilizing their super strong mobility from their abilities. Gragas versus Olaf is basically going to be more of a Olaf will try and come in and control the jungle of his counterpart, try and go in for invades, try and see if they can limit the amount of power through removing the infrastructure for Broxah. And down in the bottom side is going to be a lot of poke and kill pressure coming in from Hylissang and Reckless. They have an ignite, plus they have a heal, so they can really go ham. Perks and Mickey X, fortunately for them, they have a teleport, so if it all turns bad in the early game, they can teleport back to the lane if they need to. But it's all dependent on whether or not they need to, because if you're going to get pushed out early on against Reckless and Hylissang, then you have to use that that teleport, but you don't really want to be in that position to begin with. So looking here, Broxah is going to start on the blue buff, and you're going to have Jankos on his blue buff as well. That means that for Jankos, he can, if you want to, strafe down towards the bottom side, or he can go for vertical jungling. Now, the problem with the vertical jungling is that Broxah is immediately heading up towards the red buff, so you're not going to be able to move into that red buff, or at least you would have met Broxah there, since he is smart enough to realize the fact that Jankos can go for that vertical jungling. Now, fortunately for Broxah as well, he did place a ward, or I think it was Hylissang placed a ward in the top jungle entrance, so they would have seen Jankos if he were to go for a vertical jungling. He does not do that, and Jankos just says, okay, I need my boots, I need level 6 as fast as possible, and he goes immediately in to try and farm up. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So, if you look up here, Caps is pushed very far up. He is an Akali versus a Renekton, so you don't really have any ways of escaping, especially not at level 1 where you're going to have your Q. You don't have the backup of your jungler because he is pathing down towards the bottom side of the jungle. So I'm not even quite sure what... So Perks is standing in the bush. No. Brippo knows he's in the bush. And knows what's going to happen here. Okay, so for Brippo he also gets level 2 first, and that's essentially what gives him a bit more damage. So he has Q and he has W at this point in time. So that's a stun and an ability, damage ability, which essentially is enough to take down Caps. I think he also gets full stacks, which gives him a bit more damage. Yeah, he gets full stacks once. And then he's just able to take down Caps because Caps is pushed too far up. Caps in that position shouldn't have flashed either, because you're gonna go die. You're gonna go down anyway, right? So even if you're able to trade a flash for flash, you're still gonna go down. At the best, you get to trade a kill, but you haven't put down enough damage onto Brippo to be able to trade that kill. And now that means that because you have used your flash to get away from Brippo, you're going to open up for yourself to be ganked by Broxah in just a couple of seconds because you're behind in levels. You're going to have to teleport in as well. So that bloody sucks. You're going to have to teleport in. And since you don't have a flash, you are very open to being ganked by Broxah, which is surely going to be what we're going to see in just a second or so, because Broxah knows that the lane is pushing up. Brippo is preparing the wave right now. Broxah is level 3, Brippo is level 3. It is such an easy gank right here with Brippo preparing the wave, it's such an easy gank for Broxah. And all Brippo has to do is just get the wave onto the tower and allow for Broxah to get in from behind. Caps is playing super smart because he goes in and heals up with his Q. And he lands an E onto Brippo. So fortunately for him, because he's able to land that E, he gets that kill onto Brippo. But the problem is still that the wave has been prepared. And he doesn't have his flash from the kill earlier. So all in all, Caps is the big loser right here. He loses his flash. He loses his teleport. He gets a kill, yes. But Brippo has a teleport right here. And he doesn't have to use it to go back to the lane because it's resetting. It's pushing back towards him. So look here. The wave will go this way towards Brippo. And he doesn't have to teleport to catch that wave. Caps, on the other hand, because his wave is pushing, is going to lose a lot of CS. And right now there's an 8 CS difference between the two laners. And that just hurts Caps quite a lot. And means that he really doesn't have a place in this game right now. And he's going to be behind for at least 5-10 minutes unless he can get any kills. Something we haven't mentioned, Pyke obviously as a champion wants to be roaming. And right now, because you have a Karma in the bottom side, you are in a position to start roaming. Karma can hold her own. She has a bunch of wave clear, especially with her Mantra Q. That gives you a more wave clear. So Hylissang might as well try and roam around. When you have that pressure from Hylissang roaming as well, suddenly Broxah is put in a much better position because he will always have the man advantage in any skirmish because of him having Hylissang there to help him. And that just means that it's going to be so bloody hard for Jankos to have a single impact in this game when he doesn't know where the enemy support is, and he is up against Broxah as well. So this is a very smart gank, right? So look here, before backing off, you can see right here, before going back to the base, Reckless and Hylissang, they pushed the wave in. So that means that when Reckless goes down to catch that wave, it's still just going to be slowly pushing. And Perks and Mickey X, they don't really push very fast. It's an Ezreal and a Yuumi. They don't have any pushing power. So Reckless and Hylissang, they have at least 15 seconds, maybe 20, to roam around and make plays. And Perks and Mickey X can't respond to that. And they can't punish Reckless and Hylissang for doing this. Because you're going to have... the way that you punish them is by shoving in the lane and forcing them to miss CS. And you can't really do that right now. Because you don't have enough pushing power as that Ezreal and Yuumi. So for Reckless and Hylissang, it's smart of them to realize that they can roam around. And it's such an easy kill onto Wonder because you have the lane masterfully prepared in the mid lane. So Nemesis can easily go under the tower and dive. You have Reckless and Hylissang then being able to just push in the mid lane. And on top of getting a kill, they should be able to at least deny CS away from Wonder. And perhaps get a turret plate. They're not going to get that turret plate because you see Wonder immediately teleporting back in, but it was a possibility, and it's just, this is a good way for Fnatic to play the map and to utilize this to shut down G2. Again, remember, for Fnatic, their way of winning this game is by getting control of the early game and maintaining their lead that they get from the early game in the mid game. And now this is something you see very often from Brippo. He very often overextends his lane and ends up dying. Doesn't die this time around. Oh, wait, actually, never mind. Wait. Okay, he doesn't die. And that was very stupid. Jankos flashes over, thinks he can get the kill onto Brippo, and Brippo very smartly paths back towards his tower, so that Jankos will have to take a long route. So look right here. If Jankos wanted to get that kill onto Bippo, look here. Bippo moves up here. So for Jankos, he's going to have to move all the way up here if he wants to get that kill. And that is going to expose Jankos to the tower for a lot longer than if he just moved like this. If you move like this, then you could be out of the tower range around here, and you would ultimately take 2 tower shots at the max. If you move like this, you're going to take 4 to 5 or even 6, and you're going to take the damage from Bippo. So that would just be a trade of kills. So Jankos ends up giving up his life, and there was no minions to tank up that tower for Jankos, so he couldn't go for that kill. Ultimately just ends up giving up a flash. So that's even less playmaking potential now for G2 that they can play around with. And with the first Drake of the game being an Infernal Drake, with Fnatic having control over basically the bottom side and the mid lane so far, you kind of limit the amount of power you're going to have around that Infernal Drake. An Infernal Drake is never something you want to give up without getting something in return. And G2, they're not really in a position at all to get something in return for that Infernal Drake. Smartly enough, Broxel still knows that Caps doesn't have a flash, so he can go up and continue to punish Caps for overextending. If I have no vision. In the bottom side, Perks and Mickey X, they're getting pushed in. So they can't rotate up towards the Drake if they wanted to. Look here, they can't rotate up there. So all they can really do, and all they can really get out of that gank in the top side from Broxel, is ultimately more vision onto the Drake, a Gromp, and a Wolves camp. But I would honestly, if I could make the decision, I would always take 2 kills over vision, a Gromp, and Wolves. Like, what the hell are you going to use that for? That's not going to help you at all. It's not going to give you any more damage. It's not going to give you any more fighting power. And now with Broxel having 3 kills, he's going to go back, get the Runic Echoes, like, at the very latest at 8 minutes, which means that he's going to be bloody strong compared to Jankos. And suddenly this mid jungle bot duo that I guess that's a quadro rather, actually trio quadro quadrant, I don't know, that you have here for Fnatic is in such a good position to take up this Infernal Drake. Reckless and Hillside, they can easily shove in the lane against Perks and Mickey X. You have a strong jungler, and Nemesis provides plenty of CC and sustained damage, excuse me, extended damage throughout team fights because it's AD. So like, Fnatic are in such a good position to grab up this Infernal Drake, and they're just like slowly paper cutting G2 to their death. G2, they need to rely on Perks to scale in the bottom side. They need to rely on Caps to be in a position to fight here in the mid game. But Caps has died 3 times. He's behind nearly 20 CS. And even if he were in a position to fight, he would still have to deal with Broxel, Reckless and Hillsang, who can all shut him down very easily. Plus Bippo. Bippo, once he's in the front line, is always going to be handling Caps very efficiently. And now the problem is that G2, they know that they have to do something. They have to do something. Jankos doesn't have a sweeping lens right now. Just runs up, completely storms up the top side, runs over a ward. Broxel reads this, masterfully read. Let's see, does he spot Jankos at any point? No, so he basically comes back from his base and says, okay, so my bottom lane is pushing in. Jankos can't do anything down there. He's not going to get any kill pressure at the At the best, he's gonna force Reckless and Hillsang back, but that's like a 15% success rate in that play. So that's going to be very hard, and you're not going to get that. In the mid lane, he could go with Wonder and try and kill Nemesis. But like the safest choice would be to try and go up to Caps once he turns level 6. Because then you have that execute, right? And you are about to be level 6 on yourself. So like that would be the safest choice, to go up and deal with Bippo. And now Jankos turns level 6 after getting the blue buff. Broxah, he reads this, and this is smart. Like, knowing the fact that your strongest lane right now is Bippo means that you can react to this gank very well. Bippo is level 6, Caps isn't, so there's a difference here in terms of the power. And look at Bippo. Look at how much health he gets back from his ult. Like, that is easily a Q and a W from the Olaf that he gets right there. So now he's gonna take them down a notch when they get in and deal damage to him. They're gonna take damage over time from that Renekton ult. Plus he uses his entire combo onto Caps, the squishy member, who takes a bunch more damage than Olaf, and that is just immediately going to trade it over for Fnatic and allow Broxah to go in with a flash and to get the kill. Bippo can go in and clean it up, and Wonder comes up to the top side for some reason, but that means that Nemesis is going to be allowed to push in the mid lane, and G2, they try like salvage this play by swapping Caps into the mid lane, but that's a two level difference between the two laners, and there's no way really that you can deal with this Twisted Fate now as an Akali. You're going to get punished heavily. You're going to get hit by every single gold card that this guy pulls out. But actually, never mind. Okay, so Nemesis overextends. Never mind then. So why can Caps do this? So let's see. Nemesis uses a blue card right there. Instead of picking a gold card, he uses a blue card. So that means that you can't really stop that Akali from coming in. And once she is on you, she is bloody sticky, and there's no way that you can get out. So Nemesis basically just overstepping his boundaries and gets punished very hard for doing that. So let's see. Fnatic right now have control over the bottom side. They are shoving in the bottom side. For Nemesis, he has the Sheen and the Phage, so towers will go down pretty fast. But he has to deal with Caps in the mid lane. Obviously, Caps does have 2 kills now, but is immensely far behind in terms of CS. That's nearly a... So if we take it by the lane he was in, that's a 1400 gold difference. In the mid lane, it's a 1000. Like, it's not that much in the mid lane. It's still a fair amount, especially for us only being 10 minutes into the game. It's 100 gold that he's fallen behind every minute. But like, fortunately for him, there you have that much damage in your kit as an Akali to be relevant in the game right now. Okay, let's see here. So we don't know what just happened because we just came out of Pro View. So let's see. Okay, do they spot Broxah in the bottom side? They do. Okay, so Broxah is removing a ward, so they know that Broxah is in the bottom side. Nemesis is not shoving in the mid lane, so it makes it easy for Jankos and Wonder to go up to the top side. There's no way Nemesis can go up there and react. So Bippo is basically left, on an island. And Nemesis, okay, he actually goes up there. I'm not quite sure what the hell that was. Alright, so a very smart E from Caps allows him to go up there and actually kill Nemesis, but I have no clue what the hell they were doing right there. Like, Fnatic, they should have just been cutting their loss right there. Bippo is dead. Doesn't have a flash, so he can't get away from Wonder and Jankos. Nemesis, instead of teleporting up towards the top side should have teleported down to the bottom side so that they could get a turret plates, or into the Drake so they could get the Drake faster and then turn that into turret plates. So essentially they just give up 2 kills for the Inferno Drake, but it's such a weird decision to go for that. And honestly a decision where Fnatic they deserve to get punished. Smartly by G2, they rotate Perks and Mickey X into the mid lane. Once they saw Reckless and Hillsang shove in the bottom side. Smart decision. That's the that's the only way you can get CS as G2. That is to have Perks and Mickey X in the mid lane. And right now Perks is the only one like doing relatively well on the side of G2. Let's just go over there. But, like, Perks is the only one doing relatively well on the side of G2. You have a losing top lane, a losing mid lane, your jungler is getting manhandled, and Perks can carry if you give him 25 more minutes. Are they gonna get that? I don't think so. But right now, that is the guy that you have to hope can get a lot of CS. So sending him into the mid lane makes a lot of sense for me as a way to try and gain some CS for Perks. Down in the bottom side, they're getting Reckless and Hillsang are pushing. And Caps and Yankers, they go down there. They think we can do something. Why do they think this? So let's see. I believe Broxa is spotted by a ward. So they know that he's not going to be there. Nemesis is getting shoved in the mid lane. And they know that his Destiny, his ult, is not up yet. Because he used it recently to go to the top side. So at the best, it's going to be a 2 versus 3. And they can just run away if they force Bippo to use his teleport. So Caps and Yankers, they have the right decisions in mind and they know why they can do this. The answer is just, do they get any kills? So they force the teleport away from Bippo, and that is ultimately cancelled by Wonder. So Broxa knows right here that Yankers and Caps are in the bottom side. You have a pro team, you should know right here the Perks and Caps don't have a teleport. And therefore you can immediately punish Wonder up in the top side. So you should know that there's no way that the Yankers can be there and Caps can be there because they are now in the bottom side. Caps doesn't have a teleport. Perks doesn't have a teleport. So a 1 versus 1 is going to be there's no way that it could be anything but a 1 versus 2 right there for Fnatic. So smart decision from them to go up to the top side and fight. And this is an even smarter decision. Okay, so why are they allowed to do this? So let's see. Right here, I believe that they spot Yankers, right? Yes. So they spot Yankers. Hillsang uses his flash and his heal onto Yankers to try and get that kill. So they know Yankers is low. You've just killed Wonder up in the top side. Caps is still down in bottom side as well. They know that because Reckless and Hillsang, they see them. And in the mid lane, Perks is shoving in, but it's an Ezreal. He only has a Mana Moon right now, so can't do anything at all. Basically, it's just too far behind to do anything. So like, Broxa knows that there's no way anyone can be at the Rift Zone. There can be an Ezreal and a Yuumi, and that's it. Ezreal is not in position to fight. Yuumi is not in a position to fight either. She used her ult just a second ago. Nemesis knows that because they used it on him. Right. So let's see. Can we see when they used it on him? Okay, so right here they've used the ult on Nemesis. He's forced to flash away. You can see right here it's on cooldown and this is on cooldown. But Roxanne knows that no one is going to be up there but an Ezreal and a Yumi at the very least. Like, getting the Rift held, that's no problem at all. Okay, so this is just... And this is basically just Reckless and Hillsang styling on perks. They don't know for sure that Jankos isn't there. But it's a safe bet to say, okay, so... Oh, 2 seconds. Sorry. So basically, like, it's a safe bet to say that Jankos isn't going to be there. You knocked him down a lot in terms of health just 2 minutes ago. It's like, it's a very safe bet that he's not going to be there and he's not going to be able to punish you at all. So it's just them styling on Caps. Now, Wonder has to teleport, so Reckless and Hill saying they will be punished a bit, and they will be forced to use a heal and flash as well. But there's no way that they would have a jungle. They would have to deal with a jungle either. Like, honestly, there's no way that they could have done that. Riftel being summoned in the bottom side, sorry, in the mid lane. You know, Wonder's in the bottom side. You don't have any vision of Jankos, so he could be there. But Bippo is pushing into the top lane as well. So at least you're at the very least going to force Caps or Jankos to go to top side and catch that wave. So you're gonna have a two men from G2 in the mid lane. At the best. At the worst, you're gonna have 3 because Wonder doesn't have a teleport, and someone's gonna have to catch the top side. So again, smart plays by Fnatic, playing the map pretty well, knowing that how they can manipulate the waves to force G2 to come to them. Not sure what Wonder is doing there. So he shoved in the bottom side. He moves up. Is he seen on the ward? I have no clue how they spot him right there. I think that's... Oh, wait. Is that a ward? Do they... Oh, sorry. They spot him from that ward. And know that they can go down and kill Wonder. He tries to get the Scuttle Crab, but, like... Wonder right there thinks that his team could come and help him and could collapse upon everyone from Fnatic if they needed to. But again, then you have to go back and be realistic. The only guy who's really up to par right now is Jankos and Perks. Perks doesn't want to fight for the next 10-15 minutes. Jankos has a Black Cleaver, so yes, he can fight. And Wonder can somewhat fight. But Caps doesn't even have his Hex Gunblade yet. And we're 14 minutes into the game. Perks doesn't want to fight at all. And, like, there's no way that G2 can help Wonder in that situation right there. And then we have Hylissang pushing a bit too far up. Goes in for... okay. So he goes into ward down and actually just goes a bit too far without any help from his team. So... Oh, sorry, excuse me. A dumb decision from Hylissang punishes himself and ends up losing his life. Alright, when is the next objective going to be? So there's a Cloud Drake spawning up now. There's not going to be a Baron for the next 5 minutes. Okay, so Fnatic, they group around the Cloud Drake. So basically, I think it's just, you want to remove the Cloud Drake. You don't really want 1 Cloud Drake. You want like 2 or 3 Cloud Drakes. That's like the golden number. So if you can move this and like force another Inferno Drake, which they get right there, if you can force that, then it gives Fnatic a lot more power. Come 21 minutes, 22 minutes. Which is exactly what they want, and more snowballing power. They get a tower on the bottom side as well. have a lot of vision, so they know that no one from G2 will go down there, or at the very least they would have spotted them if someone were to come down and try and punish Fnatic. And then Pippo and Broxah are just down in bottom side having fun. No one wants to deal with Wonder. Even though Wonder is far behind, it's still fairly risky to go up against him. The only one that can do... Sorry, there's like two guys who can do that on the side of Fnatic. It's Pippo and it's Nemesis. Nemesis is a much better split pusher and has about the same pushing power as a Wonder right now. So I love that it makes more sense for them to go up with Nemesis up to the top side. Here, to put him up against Wonder. Plus you have the Destiny. Wonder doesn't have a teleport. You have a teleport on the side of Nemesis, who are about to be as well. So you have that potential to react equally as well. Plus, Bippo and Broxah, they are a deadly combo. They can kill basically everyone. They do that in bottom side. Kill caps very easily. And then this is just a good collapse from G2 getting onto Reckless. Basically, it's just Wonder coming down, and Yuumi using his ult in a smart way. But G2, they overstepped. So right here, as they've killed Hylissang, as they've killed Reckless, you just need to back off. There's a duo in the bottom side that can rotate up and punish you. You have no vision, so you have no idea when they're going to arrive. And you're not going to get that tower, because Hylissang is there as well to clear out the wave. Like right here, you deserve to get punished and to lose at least 2 kills on the side of G2, simply because you stay for too long. I think they end up losing, like 4 kills. Okay, so ultimately, from this one play, Caps died in bottom side and 4 guys died in mid lane. They die, the entire team dies, or die rather, from that one stupid play. Okay, so yeah, that's just them starting on it. But this is such a stupid play. Like, right here, look here. You know, Reckless dies, you kill Reckless, and look here on your minimap. Just take a look. There's a control reward right there. There's a control reward right there. They bloody spot Bippo and Broxah. They know that they're coming, and yet they stay there. Right here, these 3 guys, move this way. Move over here. Go away. Don't stay here. Leave Jankos alone. Jankos should not be popping his ult and should not be fighting against Nemesis right here. There's no way you can get anything out of this, guys. Jankos is the catalyst for why this went wrong and why G2 just lost everyone. Obviously, it's a collective call for go for that. So go for that. But they shouldn't have done that. They should have backed off and been happy with a kill onto Reckless. But instead, they give up 5 kills for 1 kill onto Reckless. And even more power and a potential Baron for Fnatic. Like, that's just going to be the next objective. In Throne Drake and the Baron. And there's no way G2 can really stop them. So what happens here? Okay, so Fnatic, they siege up after losing Hylissang. Let's see, what happens? Why does Hylissang go in and die? Right here, he comes down towards Caps. Or he thinks he sees a pick on Caps, goes over. And without a flash, there's no way he can get out. Stupid mistake. Especially when Broxah isn't closer. If Broxah was like here, you would at least have had an escape in the explosive cask or body slam. But they do come in for the collapse afterwards, so that's fine. But like, Hylissang was in such a stupid position that he shouldn't have been. And he ended up dying because he didn't have a way of escaping. Fortunately for Fnatic, they are strong enough to still push in. They don't have their ultimates left, but they still have a lot of health. Nemesis is in a good position to take down towers right now with the Trinity Force and the Wit's End. Like, he's strong enough to take down towers and take these extended trades. And that's just exactly what Fnatic they need to do. But they also dive. They know that they again have health to dive. And Bippo, I think he flashes in, right, to get onto perks. Yes, he flashes in, knocks down perks, and heals back up. takes down the tower, and kills the rest of the members from G2. Okay. Not a lot to say about that dive. You remove Ezreal to begin with. Now he has the mirror mana, so he's a bit stronger. Still doesn't really have any items to work with, and then you're just so strong that you can just continue to push him. Fnatic, they get 2 towers, they get a lot of kills. What else do they get? They don't get a lot more, and they go back and reset the map. So do they go for it? They probably go for the Inferno Drake now. I would say the Inferno Drake would be the smartest idea. Just go for the Inferno Drake, remove that from the map. Leave no space for G2 to pick up that Inferno Drake, because if you give them the Inferno Drake, it's not going to be their free ride back in the game, but at least it's going to give them a bit more power and a potential way of swinging team fights back into your favor. And this is very aggressive from Hillsang. So let's see. Do they spot? Okay, so they spot Ezreal, right? Look here. There's a ward here. I believe you can see it in just a second. Yeah, okay, so there's a ward there. Look here. There's a ward there. So they spot Perks. And Hillsang knows he can go up there. He disguises before being spotted by that ward. But Perks he's known that he's around there. Nemesis doesn't have his ult yet, but there we go. He has it ult now, so he can go in and help. Reckless, obviously with the E, can move faster. So it's very easy to get onto Perks and kill him without any trouble at all. Mickey X, who's on Perks, will always die when Perks dies. And now this is such a bad position for G2. Because not Perks, Jankos tried to save Perks. Comes in here, tries to save Perks. But because he uses his ult right there, he can't get away from the gold card. And will go down. And honestly, that should be the Baron to Fnatic. I'm pretty sure it is going to be the Baron as well. Yeah, so they get the Baron. Basically because Jankos tries to help Perks. But again, this is another good example of why you should cut your loss. And just say, the person is dead. We're not going to be able to get anything out of helping him. So we might as well just immediately move over to try and ward out the Baron, or at least allow Perks and Mickey X to die. And with our 3 members remaining, have a better chance at stopping the Baron from going down. Like right here, all you need from Fnatic is a Baron. You just need a Baron to open up the base. You have an AD carry, right, in Twisted Fate. And he's going to take down towers fast. Same goes for Karma. Right here, she has a Magi Soul Stealer, so she has a lot of AP to work with, so she can take down towers as fast as well. But the Trinity Force from Twisted Fate is plenty. You have a tank line that can soak up damage as well from Fnatic. And getting on to towers is going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. All you need to do is just group up now. Or pressure multiple lanes. What they do is that they pressure multiple lanes by sending Brippo into the mid lane. So no one can deal with Brippo on his own. Wanda can't kill Brippo. You can kill Brippo if he gets the help of Jankos or from Caps, or the 2 of them. Then you can kill Brippo. You can't kill Brippo any other way. Like, there's no way you can kill Brippo. Right here. Hillsang, up in the top side, is slippery enough to get away from any gank or any attempt to try and kill him. And Nemesis, Broxa, and Reckless. Reckless with the Mantra E can allow them to get away. You have the Explosive Cask. You have a gold card. It's like, honestly, G2's best bet right now is to deal with Hillsang or with Brippo. And you can't deal with either of them. If you go for Hillsang, send 2 to 3 members up towards Hillsang, you're gonna see at least 2 lanes of Fnatic being pushing them in and punishing you. Might not get a tower, but they will at very least get damage onto towers. And that's the same with Brippo. If you go onto the Brippo, send 3 to 4 members onto Brippo, you're gonna see lanes being pushed in other places. So G2, they kind of have to make their last stand right here, and then say we can give up the bottom inhibitor. They can't defend it, so either they had to hard force onto Fnatic, or they had to do something elsewhere. And ultimately, it looks like they're not going to do anything. So they're not going to make their last stand to try and fight against G2. Sorry, against the Fnatic, and they're just going to give up the bottom side without any fight. So let's look here. So this is where a fight erupts. So G2, Caps is fighting against Hylissang. He's dealing with him. Broxah finds Jankos. Okay, and Nemesis finds Perks. So let's see. Why do they... Okay, this is stupid. Okay, look here. Look at the movement from Perks and tell me what he does. I think you might even be able to see it. Okay, you aren't able to see it. But look at how Perks moves. Right there. Arcane shift. He arcane shifts in towards Bippo. So that leaves him with only his flash right here to get away from a potential Fnatic fight. And Nemesis says, I can get onto you without any trouble. You don't have an arcane shift, you only have that flash to get away. So with the entire collapse from Fnatic coming in, there's no way that Perks can survive any fight right here. And he will immediately just be melted down. So that was a stupid mistake from Perks that allows for Fnatic to win that fight. Now up in the top side, Fnatic, they just continue their form. Apparently Caps thought that he could get something back by going on to Hylissang. I think he thought, okay, I need to get something out that can stop Fnatic. I need to kill someone. So he goes on to Hylissang, nearly kills him, but doesn't pack enough damage to really take down Hylissang, and ultimately ends up dying. And honestly, this should just be the game right here. You have minions everywhere from Fnatic, and they should just be able to push in. Okay, they're not quite able to push in. Not quite able to push in right there. But then let's move up a bit. They have, let's see, they have a Twisted Fate with his ult, so he can get in there. Mantra E from Karma, so they can move a bit faster. So why don't they get this? Okay, so they are 4 members, they're all very low. Nemesis doesn't have a lot of mana, doesn't really need that mana. And they should be able to end this right here, but I think Perks, he focuses down Bippo. So they take away all the damage from Bippo, and that's the front line gone right there. So now everyone else is respawned from G2. It's like, that's honestly just the game right there. Okay, but yeah. So now for Fnatic, there's no Nexus torch left on the side of G2. They only have, I think, 1 inhibitor up in the mid lane. No inhibitors up. There's only the Nexus. You have you have Destiny on the side of Nemesis. And you have Hylissang, who can get in there pretty fast. Bippo has a dash as well. So the warding from G2 is smart. They ward up all the entrances right there and right there. So at least they can spot if someone is going to try and come in there for a backdoor. You also have a ward up there and you have a ward up there. So you will spot anyone coming in towards the base from Fnatic. And G2 will at least know if someone is going to go and try to backdoor. But Hylissang distracts them down on the bottom side. We see a distraction in the mid lane as well. And everyone is pushed very far up here from G2. So Nemesis can just teleport in and he can distract them for long enough to just take down that Nexus. So that's the game. That's the VOD review, more or less. So what did Fnatic do well? They played the map well in the early game. And they continued to shove fights down the throat of G2, leaving them vulnerable and leaving them in a position where they had to fight all the time. We saw from MSI that G2, when they didn't have a lead going into the mid game, then it would look weak. And Fnatic, they ultimately just utilized that right there to punish them heavily. Fnatic, they drafted a skirmish heavy comp for the early game as well, which allowed for them to continue to fight against G2. For Fnatic as well, they had a very active early game jungler, and I think that it was amazing to see how every lane just kept pushing in against G2, because that meant that Broxah was in a position to continue to harass the laners from G2 and be that active jungler. It also neutralized Jankos, because it meant that Jankos couldn't get in and eliminate and undermine the infrastructure of the jungle from Broxah, and thus you couldn't cut him off in terms of all the resources that Broxah he needed. So ultimately, it wasn't the cleanest game from Fnatic. It wasn't the prettiest macro. Sorry, it wasn't the prettiest micro, but it was good macro, good enough to take down G2. And you don't need to have the prettiest of games to win games. You just need to be better than the other team. And right here, Fnatic, they showed why they are better than the other team. And they played accordingly to their strengths that they needed to utilize against G2, and they played to G2's weaknesses, which is if they don't have the control in the early game and have a lead going into the mid game, then they won't be able to make a comeback. So that is something that we need to see G2 fix for the up and coming weeks, because if they need to be able to stay on top of the LEC, then they need to have a more diverse playstyle, because yes, they have a diverse playstyle in the fact that they can swap champions around and that they can be aggressive and slow, but they rely too much on having a lead, and that is not always a good thing. You need to be able to play from behind as well. But yeah, that's my VOD review, so thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment if there's games you would like for me to VOD review in the future. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Next time, that is. Next time, blah. Bye.